Hello and welcome to the Fundamentals of Cybersecurity, CSCI150N here at Nashville Community College. I'm your instructor, Peter Kjork. So for this video, we're going to go over some disclaimers of some of the tools and the techniques you're going to learn. We're going to do an introduction of who I am so you can better understand me as an instructor. We're going to look at some syllabus highlights to eliminate any questions you might have with the syllabus. And then finally, we're going to look at what exactly do we mean by cyber. For the disclaimers, first off, opinions and comments expressed by the instructor in this class are strictly his or her own and do not represent the opinions of his employer, Nashville Community College, International Information System Security Certification Consortium, or any other entity. It's strictly my own opinion when I voice them in this class. The instructor is not responsible for any misuse of any information or tools presented as part of this course. So if you misuse something, you get arrested because you, let's say, scan a bank and try to get in. Well, that's on you, not on me. And some current topics may be politically sensitive, yet relevant to the course material. Every effort will be made on my part in order to ensure that I do the best I can not to offend anybody. However, there are some topics that may be politically sensitive. So as I said, we'll do an introduction to who I am. My name is Peter Kjork. I have several certifications in security. First off, the CISM, or the Certified Information Security Manager. CISSP, Certified Information System Security Practitioner. CCNA, Cisco Security, IDLE Foundations. Several CompTIA certifications such as A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, and Project Plus. And several others on top of that. I do have a master's degree in information technology, information assurance, and security. I work full-time as an information assurance and information security manager. I also work part-time for the Massachusetts National Guard as the team chief for a cyber network defense team. Other experiences that I have had is information system security officer, ComSec custodian, tactical communications, technical support, product analyst, many other things. I hold membership or participate in organizations such as the Advanced Cybersecurity Center, InfraGard, Secure World Expo Advisory Board, Military Cyber Professional Associations, ISC Squared, and ISACA. So outside all those things and teaching here at Nashville Community College, I am a family man. I have a wife and 6 children and a crazy dog. And we participate in things such as marathons. I've run a couple of them, actually 4. And mud runs such as Spartan races and Tough Mudders. And I play music. I play guitar, drums. So I'm not just cyber. I'm a little bit of everything. So there is actually 2 books for this class, both of them through McGraw-Hill. There is the Principles of Computer Security, 4th edition. That's the ISBN there. And then the Principles of Computer Security lab manual that accompanies it. Now, when you actually take a look at the lab manual, you'll see that the labs don't necessarily coincide with the chapters of the book. However, both the book and the lab manual build off of each other and are progressive in how they teach. So you want to make sure that you hit every chapter in order and that you do every lab in order to build the foundational skills for each successive lab. So the course is pretty much centered around Blackboard. You'll find, of course, the syllabus there, homework assignments, labs and the lab questions, all the exams, and any announcements for the class on there. So make sure you're checking it on a regular basis. For example, you want to check at least 2 or 3 times a week because there could be new announcements. Plus, sometimes there's discussions in the class. On the discussion board where not only do you post your opinion on whatever the topic is, but you're also expected to reply to others. So I know it says recommended supplies here. However, it's pretty much required. It's more of a recommendation because I suppose you could go to a computer lab and do the assignments, the lab assignments. However, if you're doing this course from home, it's pretty much mandatory that you need to have a PC or a laptop. You need to install the VirtualBox and the VirtualBox expansion pack, as well as download the VMs that are necessary for the course. So you're going to need, for those VMs, at least 50 gigs of hard drive space just to make sure you got enough for the assignments. So the purpose of this class is to provide a foundation of concepts and methodologies employed in cybersecurity. enable the students to evaluate and mitigate risk to information and communication systems. So you're going to learn some of the basic tools, some very basic techniques, both in what the bad guys do and how to defend against them, so that you could build that foundation. You're not going to get anything very advanced here, and as I kind of stated in a disclaimer, if you use any of the techniques, you're probably going to get caught, because these are well-established techniques, well-known and well-defended against. And so it would not be wise to see if you can try to get into your bank using any of the techniques you're going to learn in this class, because we're not that type of a class and we're not that advanced. Since this is an online course, you'll find that it's going to be very reading intensive. A couple of chapters of reading each week in order for us to get to the book. And homework assignments directly from the book, the review section of the books. You'll find that there'll be class discussions and videos such as this. I'm going to try to do a video for every chapter of the book, just to go over and highlight certain things from your reading. Possible case studies, depending on what's going on in the news at the moment. There's plenty with the last election that can be used as a case study. And then labs and research, specifically labs using the virtual machines that you will download and install through VirtualBox, and using the lab manual to get some hands-on skills with this course. So all homework will be completed through Blackboard as it's assigned. The assignments themselves will utilize the Blackboard test engine. So if there's any references into it, like click submit to submit this test, ignore the word test. If you clicked on the link for a homework assignment, that's what it is, and that's how it's being graded. So as you can see with the grading, we have a midterm and a final exam. Then pretty much 50% of your grade is centered around doing your homework, doing your labs, and participating in discussions. So as long as you're doing the work you're supposed to be doing week to week, you're already halfway there with your grade. And then all you have to do is get a decent score on a midterm and a final exam, and you'll do well in this class. So accommodations. If you have some kind of a need that requires special accommodation, and it's documented, and you've registered through the disability services at NCC, let me know. Send me a copy of the documentation so that we can properly accommodate you for the class. As far as instructor availability goes, because this is an online course, students are encouraged to email me with questions and concerns about assignments, or to leave me important messages. I will make every effort to respond in a timely manner. If I don't respond in about 48 hours to your email message, I might have missed it for some reason, and I ask that you just resend me the message. My full-time employment does involve training, supporting emergency events such as extreme weather, civil unrest, natural disasters, and other public and national security incidents. And because of that, I will make every effort not to have it interfere with our class, but there may be a reason. So if there's something in the headline news about some kind of major disaster here in the Northeast, I might actually be tied up with that, and it might take me longer to get back to you. Tools for this class are Oracle's VirtualBox with the appropriate expansion pack, Metasploitable, which is a Linux-based operating system that's been made intentionally vulnerable, so it allows us to take a look at many different vulnerabilities and learn from that. Kali Linux, which is a set of tools that can be used to do penetration testing, security monitoring, and vulnerability assessments. Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008. So let's take a look at cybersecurity. So the book talks about security trends, the interconnection of more devices. As we talked about in my introductory video, that's what we call the Internet of Things. It's the more connectivity that we're having every day. Your refrigerators, your thermostats in your home, your garage door opener, things that go far beyond just a computer to go out and do some kind of work or web browsing, things that we connect for convenience or better control. The move from hacking for notoriety to significant monetary gain. So it used to be that hackers during the 80s and 90s and early 2000s were doing it mostly just to get notoriety within their communities. Now there's significant monetary gain. You can see this with the TJ Maxx, the Home Depot, the Target hacks, and so forth. And why do they do it? Well, it's simple, because the risks are low and the payoff is high. We have heard about all these big hacks for millions and millions of dollars, such as the Target hack, but we have not heard of any arrests, or if there are, they're few and far between. So they're low risk and high payoffs for the people who are involved in these. So, although cyber itself has been around since the 1940s, cyberspace as a term was first used in 1982, and it appeared in William Gibbon's science fiction novelette Burning Chrome. Oxford Dictionary defines cyberspace as the space of virtual reality, the notional environment within which electronic communication, especially the internet, occurs. More broadly refers to the world of electronic communications, including the internet. The Department of Defense defines it as a domain characterized by the use of electronics and the electromagnetic spectrum to store, modify, exchange data via networked systems and associated physical infrastructure. So it's not just the network itself, but any other communication device that may be associated with that infrastructure. So that leads to the question, what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is the actions taken by an organization to ensure freedom from danger and risk to the security of information in all its form, both electronic and physical, and the security of the systems and networks where information is stored, accessed, processed, and transmitted, including precautions taken to guard against crime, attack, sabotage, espionage, accidents, and failure. So we've all heard of the expression, a mile wide and an inch deep. Well, with cybersecurity, it's 8 miles wide and a half inch deep. There's so many different things you need to know for cybersecurity that includes anything from physical security to firewalls to endpoint protection. There's so many different things you can't know it all. So in cybersecurity, at least when you're coming into it, you're going to focus in one area. So this course is designed with NCC to concentrate on network security first, and then you can expand from there. Defenders have to be right 100% of the time. That's right, 100% of the time. You make one mistake, the bad guys get in. And the bad guys only need to be right once. So that's a pretty tough game. You have to be pretty sharp and you have to be on your game the entire time. So that leads now to why cybersecurity. So if we have to be right 100% of the time, and the attackers only have to be right once, what does that mean to us? Well, with the Internet of Things and everything around us becoming more and more interconnected, we need to protect it. We need to protect data. We need to protect the channels of communications and the ability for all these different systems to continue to operate and provide us the services that we want them for. I invite you, when you're done with this video, to watch the hacking of the Internet of Things. You'll see just what I mean by how interconnected everything is and how vulnerable it is. So with the Internet of Things and cybersecurity, for years we speculated on what the real effect of a real cyber attack would be. You've seen it in movies and so forth, but nothing ever really came to fruition. But we started to see things happen in the last few years that took these theories and put them into the real world. So, for example, there's a financial impact to some of these things. There's the Target hack and the Home Depot hack and the TJ Maxx hack. But even as simple as a Twitter account being hacked can cause significant financial impact. Twitter, 100 and something characters of nonsense can make a huge difference. An example of that is in April 23rd of 2013, the Associated Press had their Twitter feed hacked by somebody getting their password, and they posted a fake story about a explosion at the White House that injured the president. The immediate effect was for about the next 15 minutes or so that day the Dow Jones dropped by 146 points. Now, yes, it came back, and that's great. But for it to drop 146 points, that means there are people who are selling off at a loss, and there are people who are gaining at a huge discount to what the actual value of those stocks were because of a panic that was created by this. The potential for a story to cause more is still there. So even though it was just a Twitter account, which I don't take a lot of merit in what people post on Twitter, but a Twitter account with a fake news story, because it came from the Associated Press, who people trust, and it took time to verify what was really happening, it caused a major significant impact with finances for that particular day on the Dow Jones. So when it comes to cyber warfare, it's not just computers, it's not just Twitter accounts and the internet. What about your phone? Your phone has become a device on your hip that has essentially become a computer. Your phone has more computing power today than computers had 15 years ago. Okay, so looking at that, how many of you have antivirus on your phone, or provide some kind of protection, or think about the apps that you're putting on your phone? Most of us love free stuff. We get it for free, and we don't think about who made it and why they made it. Well, the reality is that if you're not paying for it, then you're probably the commodity they're looking for. So why are they doing it? Many times it's innocent. It's just trying to get you to look at ads or something of the sort. Think about the game Candy Crush or whatever, and they're trying to get you to buy a service from them. But then there was, for example, the news story a little while back about flashlight apps. And I think the top 10 had some kind of malware, or if not malware, at least gave out more information than something that needed to be used for a flashlight needed to be giving out. So this brings me to something that I ran across a little while back. The Navy Warfare Service Center did a study, and they created intentionally malware for a phone to see just how much they could do with it. So this app allowed them to turn on and off the camera on the phone to do video as well as take snapshots of things all around them wherever it moves. And I'm sorry that the pictures in here aren't much closer, but the resolution was well enough that if you had memos on the wall of your cubicle, or posters, or things of that sort, or notes on the whiteboard during a meeting, it could actually read that. Not only that, but it turned on the microphone and turned it off, and you would never know that it was there doing this. So they could put this malware on your phone, and they could also use its the motion capabilities of the phone to map out in 3D a building. So imagine if you're a person, you install, let's say, let's go back to the flashlight app for whatever reason, and you install the flashlight app, and they could tell that you sit in this one spot in the building during the work week for about 35 hours a week. But for a few hours each week, at a specific time, let's say Monday mornings, you go to this one room and you sit there for a few hours, and then you go back to your space. Well, that tells them that you're in a meeting. So all they have to do is turn on and off that camera and record these meetings. And when you get out to a clear enough internet signal, they could send that data back to whoever's listening in or who's looking for that information. So I often teach this to our military personnel, specifically them, because a lot of them are looking for free applications that deal specifically with the military. So if you go into Google, the Google Store or the Apple Store, you can look for something like Body Fat Calculator or the Army Physical Fitness Test Calculator, these different apps that specifically target people who are military with something that they might need or want. That's an easy way for a bad person to get to infect your phone with malware. So cybersecurity is not just your computer. Today, it's also your phone. So cyber is the misuse of cyber is not just stealing information and money and things of that sort, like you might traditionally think of, but cyber can support kinetic events, potential attacks, and a good example of that is Russia. They've used it a couple of times. So, like for example, in 2008, when they were having a disagreement with the nation of Georgia, they used cyber to take out some of their infrastructure, their communications, as well as bringing down government websites and preventing them from providing services to their citizens. And then 2014, when Russia wanted to invade Crimea in the Ukraine, They use cyber once again to take out communication capabilities, radar, and things of the sort. So, for example, in the Ukraine, the mobile phone infrastructure was attacked using equipment that was installed within the Ukraine telecommunication network under Russian forces, and then the Russians backed their military, the separatist military and militias in their fight against the government of the Ukraine. Cyber can also be used for espionage as well as sabotage. So, for example, the Chinese are big on this. They're stealing designs and research information from the United States in order to save their companies huge amount of money in doing research and development, and use the technology we've developed to make their products better or to make a competitive product. So that's espionage. And then sabotage, you can intentionally get into a system and bring down, let's say, for example, power grid. And if you saw with the Stuxnet virus, if any of you are familiar with it, a virus got into the Iranian centrifuges that were used to enrich uranium to produce a potential nuclear bomb. The result of the Stuxnet virus was that the centrifuges were spinning out of control, causing them to break down and shutting down the nuclear program for Iran for a period of time. Another example was a steel mill in Germany got hacked, and somebody reconfigured the safety mechanism for the furnace, causing an explosion because the proper temperature for the furnace was messed with, resulting in it getting too hot. So what we're seeing now is much larger hacks. It's not just finding one piece of information like credit card data and trying to steal your identity. Instead, there are multiple attacks or vectors that they're going with. For example, they might hack an insurance company to gain health information about you based upon the billing for certain diagnosis, spending habits through your credit card company, family history through sites such as Ancestry.com or things of that sort, and then travel habits through travel agencies, travel sites, or airlines. And then what they're doing is they build a personal profile on you. So, for example, if it was a nation state looking to find somebody to compromise because of a security clearance or a project that they're working on within a company or within the government, they could gather this information. They could find somebody who has relatives within their country that they might be able to use as leverage to convince them to provide secrets, or you could have maybe a disease or some kind of health condition that could affect their career that they've been hiding. They could threaten to expose or travel to certain regions, things of that sort. There's a lot of different things that they can use by building profiles on certain people. I'm your instructor, Peter Keurig for Nashville Community College. Thank you for watching.